Hey folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. I am so glad you're with us today. Now, if you've listened to the show before, you know I talk about the three most important things you have to have in order to have good health. And the three things you have to have is a normally functioning nervous system, a normally functioning digestive system, and good nutrition. If you have those three things, you can obtain and maintain good health. If you don't have those three things, I don't care what else you're doing, you can't obtain and maintain ideal or optimum health. So, right now, we're going to talk about how the nervous system works, because the nervous system is the most important system in the body. There's a nervous system, a digestive system, and the hair system, and so many different systems in the body, lymphatic system, but the nervous system controls all of them. So if the nervous system isn't working, you cannot, under any circumstances, obtain and maintain optimum health. I believe this is the missing link when it comes to healthcare. This is what we need to teach the whole world, and if they get this simple concept, healthcare is going to change dramatically. So the nervous system is made up of a bunch of nerve cells in the body. And it's through the nervous system that we communicate with the outside world. Nervous system takes information, sensory, you can feel things, see things, touch things, and it triggers reactions from it. So your muscles can move, and that can cause you to feel pain. So for example, if you touch a hot plate, this is the perfect example. We always teach this when we start teaching basic neurology. You reflexively pull back, and the nerves simultaneously send pain to your brain. And the metabolic processes are also controlled by the nervous system. So I touch a hot plate, I burn myself. So many different nerves fire off at once. I pull my hand back so the muscles have to contract. My blood pressure goes up. My pupils dilate. The hair on my body stands up. The blood is taken away from my digestive system and sent into my muscle system to protect myself. So many different things happen instantaneously. And the nervous system is able to communicate to all these different systems. It sends a message to the digestive system. Stop digesting food. We got something more important going on right now. It sends messages to the muscles. Contract, run away. This is not a safe thing. The hairs on my body stand up. Why? So my body can cool. Because I've got to start using a lot of muscles, I'm going to generate a lot of heat. My body has to be able to cool itself down. My pupils dilate so I can see better. I want to be able to see my surroundings to protect myself better. And so many other things happen simply by touching a hot plate. So the nervous system is fascinating to me, and I've been studying it now for 40 years, more than 40 years, and I still learn new things about it. We still learn new things about it as researchers. We find new nerves every now and then. It's crazy. After you think all the research that's been done in the body, we're still finding new things happening. So anatomy is where things are. Physiology is how they work. And we're still finding new anatomical and physiological parts of the body that we didn't even know existed. And that's really cool.
Wasn't it just like a couple of years ago, they finally defined the skin as another organ?
Yeah, the skin is actually an organ. Yeah, and it's the largest organ in the body. But we find, for how many, I've dissected humans, and for how many surgeries that go on every minute of every day, and how many autopsies go on, we still find new things. We find out that skin does things that we didn't know it did. So the body, it's a work in progress. But in order to obtain and maintain good health, you have to have the nervous system communicating, the digestive system absorbing nutrients and passing out waste products, and the diet giving the body the proper fuel for the body to work. So there's billions of nerve cells, and they're called neurons. That's a fancy word for nerve cells. And together they make up the nervous system. The brain alone has 100 billion neurons in it. Each neuron has a cell body, it's called, and it has these little extensions sticking off it. Now, the shorter extensions are called dendrites, and they kind of act like antennas. So the cell is sitting there with these little antennas out there going, all right, I'm ready to receive information. What do you got for me? So neurons pass information to other neurons, and they pass it along longer extensions called axons, and they sometimes can be up to a meter long. A meter is about, a yard. So axons and dendrites and nerve cells all are constantly getting information, processing it, and then sending it to where it's supposed to go, all within milliseconds. And that's why we're alive. If this process didn't work, somewhere along the line, we'd be dead. Something would have killed us a long time ago. So the nervous system has two parts. It's called the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system is your brain and spinal cord. The peripheral nervous system is pretty much everything outside the spinal cord. Now, the central nervous system includes lots of nerves and, again, the brain. And it's contained within your skull and your vertebrae. Now, the body is so amazingly brilliant that the most important thing, the thing that keeps you alive, is the nervous system. We've encased it in the hardest possible thing we can develop as a human, and that would be bone. So the skull and the vertebrae protect the spinal cord. And then as the nerves go outside the spinal cord, that's called the peripheral nervous system, not as vital. Very vital, but not as vital as the brain and spinal cord. So regardless of where you are in the body, there's called voluntary nerves and involuntary nerves. Now, voluntary nerves, I can control. I can flex my arm. I can blink my eyes. Those are voluntary motions. The involuntary nervous system is called the autonomic nervous system. Now, the autonomic nervous system controls everything from breathing to heart rate to blood pressure, metabolic processes, hair growth. These are the things you don't have control over. 90% of your nervous system you don't feel. Only 10% of your nervous system can you feel and control. 90% of it happens automatically. So you don't have to think about breathing or going to the bathroom. I mean, it tells you when to go to the bathroom, but the body's breaking down waste products. Your body's sweating. So your body's doing most of the work without you even knowing it, and that's called the autonomic nervous system. Now, from a chiropractic standpoint, you can have a pinched nerve, and it can hurt, but 90% of the time, the nerves don't hurt, but they can still be malfunctioning. And a perfect example is you don't feel your blood pressure. You don't feel your kidneys, your spleen, your adrenal glands, your white blood cells, all controlled by nerves. So when we see patients in our offices, it's not only the nerves that feel pain we're worried about, it's the 90% that don't. And back to what I believe this is another missing link in healthcare. Again, it goes back to the nervous system. We keep addressing pain. I'm board certified in pain management. I'm the only chiropractor, as far as I know, in the whole state that is board certified in this medical group of pain management doctors. And in pain management, our job is to manage pain. I take my chiropractic background and say, okay, I want to manage the pain, but I also want to fix the cause. Then I take my degree in orthopedics and say, how can I better treat the cause? And then I take my multiple degrees in nutrition and say, how can I chemically alter it so that the body works better? So that's why I have 8 degrees and I have about 23 certifications altogether. And so we're always looking to find a better way to treat the body. Sometimes we've got to cover up pain. Sometimes we've got to fix the pain. So we've got to fix things that don't feel pain. So we want to fix the nervous system and the digestive system and the diet. That's always the key. So if the autonomic nervous system is working properly, that's great. If it's not, there's problems. And then there's also the sympathetic nerves that speed you up and the parasympathetic nerves that slow you down. And then the enteric nervous system. I don't think I've ever even talked about the enteric nervous system in all the years I've been on radio and television. The enteric nervous system controls just the digestive system. That's how important the digestive system is. It has its own nervous system controlling it. Because you have to be able to absorb nutrients and pass out waste products or else you die. And that's why I look at the public and I just see how you're abusing your digestive system every single day. You're eating the 7 deadly sins: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas. And you expect the enteric nervous system to break these things down and give you nutrients. It's really hard to do. It does it, but not efficiently. So again, I don't want you to achieve good health. I want you to achieve extreme health. That's the key. That's a book I wrote called Prescription for Extreme Health. I don't want you to have average health. I want you to have extreme health. And you got to take care of that nervous system in order for the body to work properly. And if you're not doing it, which most people aren't, that's where I get concerned. So the sympathetic nerves speed you up, parasympathetic nerves slow you down. Sometimes I find patients that are stuck, put it simply, in the sympathetic mode. Those are those super hyperactive people. They can't focus. They're crazy, running around. Their brain is racing. There's also the parasympathetic people. They're just tired all the time. You might call them lazy. Well, they're stuck in a parasympathetic control mode. So in our office, we try to balance out the nerves that feel pain, unpinch them, and the nerves that don't feel pain. We try to activate or suppress the sympathetics and the parasympathetic nervous system. We try to get the enteric nervous system working properly. And as far as I know, we're the only profession that tries to integrate all of this into a healthcare program. Some people are very good at hearts. If you have a heart condition, go see a cardiologist. But also see us so we can make sure the nerve supply is working so you're not stuck in sympathetic or parasympathetic. If you have digestive problems, you go see a gastroenterologist, but also come see us. Maybe your stomach is spasmed and pushed up against the diaphragm. My doctors are trained by me to adjust or pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm. Maybe there's something physically wrong with the body that's causing it to malfunction. And that's what I see in almost every single case I've ever seen. There's thousands, maybe tens of thousands of patients I've seen in my career. When I see them, there's almost always a physical issue. I've seen a few patients over the years that didn't have physical issues. And I tell them, listen, you're not a candidate for our treatment. Thank you for coming in. We'll keep your records on file. Go on your way. Most patients have some physical issues affecting the nervous system that they need to see us for. So the way the body works, real simply, the brain sends messages down the spine, out the nerves to every cell in the body. So there's nerves that control, again, the heart, the lungs, the liver, the spleen, the hair growth, the toenails, your mouth, everything is controlled by nerves. And two things can interfere with the flow of this vital electrical energy. The thing that keeps you alive can be affected by either chemical or physical. Now, chemical would be food, drugs, alcohol, environmental toxins. So part of your treatment when you come in my office is always going to be a nutritional evaluation. Let's get the chemistry right. Now, most people are very appreciative that we do a nutritional evaluation. Some people say, Doc, I don't really give a rat's behind about nutrition. I just want you to get chiropractic adjustments. Okay. I say, fine, it's your choice, and we don't mention it again. Most people want to get it all done. So we check the nervous system, we check the digestive system, we check the diet. So if a bone moves out of place, if there's swelling at a joint, it can cause pain. But like we said earlier, 90% of your nerves don't feel pain. You can have a pinched nerve and not know it. So my team of doctors not only check the nervous system, they check the nerves that feel pain, but they also check the nerves that don't feel pain. And there's a technique we use called applied kinesiology, and it's the coolest test you've ever seen in your entire life. So when you come in as a patient, we'll show you and test you to see if you have pinched nerves that don't feel pain. My third concern with a patient is arthritis. If bones are out of alignment, they rub up against each other and they wear out. How often? 100% of the time. So I always tell patients, I can't guarantee we can get you better, but I can guarantee if you have bones out of place and they're wearing out, they're going to get substantially worse over time. So it's not just pain that we see patients for, it's also structure so that the joints don't wear out, and it's also testing the nerves that don't feel pain. So we can check the nerves that feel pain, check the nerves that don't feel pain, and then also we take x-rays. If the bones are out of alignment, we can show you bones out of place. This is not a secret. You look at an x-ray, and all the patients I've ever seen, I'll say, you see that one hip is higher than the other? See the neck's supposed to have a curve and it doesn't? See they're supposed to have disc space and you don't? It's clear as day. So when you come in as a patient, we will take pictures on you, probably, not everyone gets them, and then we will show you the x-rays so you can see exactly what the problem is. You know, educated consumer is our best customer. That's an old line from a commercial. An educated patient is our best patient. I want you to know exactly what we're doing. And if you have questions, we could always pull out the x-rays again and say, hey, remember we talked about this? I did that just the other day. Patient say, Doc, I'm feeling great. I don't think I need to come back. Let me show you the x-rays and show you why you still need treatment even though you're feeling great. And I showed him the x-rays and he went, you know, Doc, I totally forgot about those x-rays. You're absolutely right. I'm going to continue with my treatment. So we objectify, in a good way, we objectify your health problem so you can see the problem and then go in there and get it fixed. The other thing we check is the digestive system. If you have acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating, the stomach can be pushed up against the diaphragm, and my team of doctors may have to manipulate or relax the stomach, pull it away from the diaphragm. In most cases, the results are amazing. I have this problem. And when my stomach is up against the diaphragm, I burp a lot. I feel fat. I want to keep eating. I can't stop eating because my brain isn't getting the message saying that I have food in my stomach by a hormone called leptin. Leptin is released in my stomach, goes into my hypothalamus in my brain and says, hey, you're full. Stop eating. If the messages aren't getting to the brain, remember the nervous system controls everything. If the messages aren't getting to the brain and to the hypothalamus saying that I'm full, I want to keep eating. And so when that happens, I have to grab one of my doctors and say, I want you to adjust my stomach. And they pull the stomach away from the diaphragm. It takes about 15, 20 seconds. And almost instantly, I see results. And I know if they get it. Sometimes if the doctor doesn't get the stomach in the right position, I said, do it again. I know the feeling of when it's right and it's just not right. So we got to get the nervous system working. So the gut-brain axis, it's called, is a two-way street. And the way the body and the brain works and the nerves work is they work on something called neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are chemicals that make the nervous system work. So 90% of the neurotransmitters, such as dopamine or serotonin, those are biggies, these are the ones that help regulate your moods. They're not made in your brain, they're made in your gut, 90%. So if there's a shortage, and there's 90% is needed in the gut, 10% is needed in the brain, who wins? Well, the gut wins. And so many times when there's an emotional issue, anxiety, depression, bipolar, ADD, ADHD, even suicidal patients, in 100% of the patients I've treated, this is my personal experience, there's always a digestive system problem where the body is not either breaking down food, absorbing nutrients, and or causing the body to produce the proper neurotransmitters. And when we fix the gut, the brain is able to essentially reboot itself and work again. I wish that what I just told you in the past 3 minutes was broadcast all over the world on every news station, on every radio station, for the whole world to get that. Because if you understand that the gut controls the brain and the brain controls the gut, you can't fix one without fixing the other. And so you can't fix the brain unless the gut works properly. It's impossible. Can't work. And so if we can get the gut working properly, then we produce the neurotransmitters to make the nervous system work so that the body can function normally. It's not real hard to figure that out, folks. And I don't know why. To me, it's second nature. Of course you have to do that. And whenever I talk to psychiatrists, psychologists, addiction specialists, I explain what I just explained to you. And 100% of them have said, I never looked at it like that before. That's fascinating. And I'll tell them, I said, go back, even teachers, ADD, ADHD students, look at the kids or adults that have emotional issues. They probably got bad breath and or stinky gas because the food is rotten in their colon. They're probably ticklish because if you poke the digestive system area, the stomach or the ribs, they're protecting their digestive system. And if you can fix that, many times the brain works better. And when I talk to parents with ADD and autistic children, all of them 100% say, oh my gosh, that's my son, my daughter. How did you know that? Because I know how the body works. And so if we can get the nervous system working, it's amazing what the brain can do, and vice versa. So we got to get that happening. So we make neurotransmitters from the food we eat. Now, the stomach releases a chemical called hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid activates pepsin, which activates pepsinogen, which then breaks down proteins into something called amino acids. Now, you've heard me talk about this before if you're a regular listener. The amino acid tryptophan becomes serotonin in your brain as long as there's B6 available. So vitamin B6 combines with tryptophan to create 5-HTP, and 5-HTP becomes serotonin. Serotonin makes you happy and lets you focus. So if you don't have enough B vitamins, if you're not breaking down your proteins properly, if hydrochloric acid, pepsin, and pepsinogen isn't working, you can't make the neurotransmitters. It's enough. That's impossible. Tyrosine becomes dopamine. Dopamine gives you pleasure. We're all pleasure seekers. We all want pleasure. We get it from food. We get it from sex. We get it from being around happy people. You get it from music. And so if the body isn't capable of producing the right amounts of dopamine, the pleasure is not going to be what you want it to be, whatever that pleasure source is. So we got to fix the gut. Glutamine becomes GABA. GABA is a neurotransmitter that suppresses pain. Norepinephrine is a neurotransmitter that gives you energy. Comes from GABA. Comes from glutamine. And so you getting how we got to break down food to get nutrients? I don't know how to make that any clearer. So what you want to do is fix the stomach, of course. If the stomach is up against the diaphragm, we've got to pull it away from the diaphragm. And again, if you have acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating, sleep apnea, many times those are symptoms telling you to come see us so we can test your stomach so we can get it fixed. I don't know how to make it easier for you. It really is that simple. There are certain medications, such as antidepressants, that are designed to utilize the neurotransmitters in the brain, but the problem usually isn't in the brain, it's in the gut. So sometimes we need medication. I'm not against medication, believe me. I'm against unnecessary use of medication. Now, the nerves need fuel. The nerves need energy and the nutrients to work. So, for example, in a nerve, you have sodium and potassium in the nerve inside and outside of the cell. And what happens is the sodium and potassium switch in and out of the cells. They go in and out, and that creates electrical currents. So if you have a sodium issue, an imbalance, or a potassium imbalance, you don't have the chemicals to make the battery work. So that's why we got to get our nutrients to feed this nervous system. You need glucose as the fuel, the sugar that the nervous system works on. If you have too much sugar, the body can't work properly. If it has too little sugar, it can't work properly either. So you got to make sure you're getting the right nutrients in the body. So from a supplement standpoint, I recommend Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, Dr. Joe's Omega-3 fatty acids, nitric oxide, and B vitamins. These are the nutrients that feed the brain. There's a song by Jefferson Airplane, Feed Your Head. Okay? That Grace Slick talked about feed your head. And that's what she was talking about, drugs at the time, but I'm talking about from nutrient standpoint. So you got to feed your head. So eating more fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, awesome. Super Green, Essential Source, Nitric Oxide, B Complex, all important. Omega-3s, important for the brain. That's the supplements I take every day for my brain. So all those supplements are on my website, drjoe.com. You can order them or you can come pick them up. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. We would love the opportunity to be your doctors. So if you have a health issue, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, headaches, digestive issues, emotional disorders, muscle weakness, come see us. Let's try to get to the cause of your problem and not just treat the symptoms. We have chiropractic, we have nutrition, we have medical, we have a medical doctor on staff, so we can try to get to your cause and give you the right treatment regardless of what the problems are. Now, if it's not something we can treat, we can send you out to another doctor. So if you want to make an appointment, you can go to our website, drjoe.com. The initial visit is an exam, x-rays, consultation, your first chiropractic adjustment, going over your x-rays, and a complete nutritional evaluation on the second visit. Now, normally that's $375. We've reduced that to $250. So if you want to make an appointment, do it now. And the reason I say that is we book up very quickly. And so patients sometimes call and they can't get an appointment. Well, I want to come see you. Book now. And we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. We'll get you in. We accept most insurances. So if you have insurance, we can file your insurance for you. Medicare, car accident, sports injury. If you've ever been in a car accident, folks, if the car was damaged, you were damaged 100% of the time. So you need to come see us right away. So we got to get the bones put back in place. We got to get the muscles balanced. We got to get the digestive system working, get the diet straightened out. All of this is very easy to do. None of it is hard. And in fact, the issues I get, in fact, one of the problems I have with my patients, and I don't see a lot of patients anymore, is they'll say, well, Dr. Joe, that was my whole treatment? I've been doing this for 40 years. I'm pretty quick at it. So we get in there, we get to the cause, and we send you on your way. And the patients always say, why didn't I do this sooner? And I don't know that. And it's also not just the nerves being pinched. There's also something called cerebrospinal fluid. And that goes from your sacrum, your tailbone, to your occiput, your skull bone. And every time you breathe, the sacrum and the occiput are pumping cerebrospinal fluid. And that's the nourishment that feeds the nervous system. So you have to have all these things going on, but you have to have the sacrooccipital pump working as well. Every one of my tables and every one of my offices is designed to help pump cerebrospinal fluid and get the nutrients up to the brain. So we got to make sure the brain is getting fed. Brain needs oxygen, stimulation, and nutrition. So we do the nutritional evaluation. We fix the stomach so the diaphragm can go up and down so you can breathe better. And then with stimulation, an adjustment is stimulation. Listening to our shows are stimulation. So if you want to stimulate your brain, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Dr. Joe Esposito. We post every single day on social media. We have a ton of podcasts out there on our website, drjoe.com. We have over 1,500 hours of podcasts. And if you're a podcast junkie, go to Dr. Joe for the health of it. Just type in Dr. Joe for the health of it in your podcast service, and you can get there. Now, if you have any questions, send them to me through the website, drjoe.com, or better yet, just make an appointment. You can do it right online, drjoe.com. I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We'll be right back.